I'm Chris Turner, and this is the Empowered Parent Podcast. Greetings, and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Parent Podcast. Joining me, as always, are Ryan and Kayla North. Hi, guys.
Hey, Chris.
Christopher.
I thought we could talk tonight about something that literally every parent I'm aware of has experienced at one time or another, probably every single day of their lives. And they may not use these terms, but we all rupture the relationship with our children, and we need to repair it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
I think
night,
we can all
everybody.
agree. All right, we all do it. Okay, move on. No.
I think we can do a little more in-depth discussion on this issue.
You think they want something more than that?
Now, if only we had a recent example that we could kind of
Chris, did
talk
you have
about.
anything you wanted to? No?
I'm thinking more recent.
Oh, more recent, as in like before.
The last hour and a half.
Very recently. Yeah, so we had one of our kiddos who, we got home. We ate dinner out tonight, and we came home, and it was time for bed by the time we got home. And so we're like doing vitamins, and this one particular child was driving all her siblings crazy, following around, kind of picking on them, poking at them, just one of her siblings, she literally was following him around, and he'd turn around and kind of like growl at her, like, "Why are you doing that?" And he looked at me and he goes, "Mom, can you make her stop?"
And she said, what did he say? He was irritating me today, so I was just going to get even and irritate him.
Yeah. So that was kind of how our evening was going. And I've been fighting off this cold all week. I just really wasn't feeling great. And so I probably didn't respond in the kindest of way. Although I really, in my mind, it sounded like, here are your vitamins, go to bed. In her mind, though,
Let's unpack the phrase "in my mind."
as she shared this with her dad, who was in the other room, I hear her wailing and sobbing and just tears, and she's going, "Mom yelled at me to go to bed." And I was like, "I didn't yell at you."
She did this, Daddy. She put my vitamins in my hand, and then she closed my hand and said, "Take your vitamins."
And I was like, "Oh dear." And so then Ryan goes upstairs with the kids. I'm trying to get one of our other ones to take vitamins. She's all of a sudden started refusing and doing the whole, and she needs, it's not just vitamins, she needs seizure medication. So I'm like, "You got to take the medicine, baby." So we're like doing the whole like airplane and trying to get it, and trying to sing songs that make her open her mouth. And it took a while. Yeah. So I'm doing that, and he's trying to tuck everybody in, and he comes down and he goes, "I think you're going to need to go repair." And I was like, "Uh-oh, what's going on?" And he said,
May I tell?
"Oh, yeah."
So we're upstairs in our room, and she's just we're just laying on the bed next to me, just sobbing. And so finally get her to a place when she can start giving me words and telling me what's going on. And I said, "What happened, baby?" And she said, "Everybody except for you and Brooklyn are being mean to me tonight." And I said, "Oh, baby, what's going on? Tell Daddy about it." And then she recounts the vitamins and being told to go to bed. And she said, "And when Mommy comes upstairs to tuck me in, I'm going to say, 'Go to bed, go away from me,' because the Bible says that you need to treat people the way you want to be treated. And since she treats me like that, that's obviously how she wants to be treated." And I'm like, wow.
Out of the mouth of babe.
And then she says, "I got to figure out how to get revenge on her and Tyler and
I don't
Tori
know
and
what
Josh."
this is a new thing for
I'm
her.
like,
This
revenge?
right. I don't know what that is, but it's come up several times today. So I'm
Well,
like,
it's probably from something like cartoon she's watched,
Probably.
right? And so,
Is that,
but I
is that
love
when
that-
you used the Bible back at her and said, "Vengeance is mine"? saith the
And
Lord.
I thought about that, but what I actually ended up doing, was telling her that the Bible, since she's quoting the Bible also says we need to forgive people. And she's like, "But the Bible says that you need to treat people the way you want to be treated, and obviously Mom wants to be treated like this, so I'm just going to tell her to go away." So I come downstairs and I tell Kayla this, and we're getting ready for you to come over, right? And so she goes, so I mean, if people know our family, they already figure out who it is, right?
Yeah.
So Livy says, "Dada!" She yells from upstairs. So I go upstairs. What's going on? Well, so in the meantime, Kayla comes upstairs, but I need to loop back to this to say what Brooklyn told her, but I'll wait till the end.
Okay.
So you come upstairs without Libby knowing it, and
Yes.
We'll take the story from there.
Yeah, so I come upstairs and they're all like in the other room. And so I just go and I climb up and she's in the top bunk of the bunk beds, right?
So you climb
So
the top
I
bunk?
climb up into the top
Okay.
bunk and I lay down and then so Brooklyn comes in and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm going to snuggle with Libby up here. And she just cracks up and she goes, "Do you want me to go get her? Wait, hold on. She can see you." So she like puts a row of stuffed animals up next to the rail so she can't see me. And so then she goes and gets her and goes, "Come on, you need to go to bed." And like tells her to, and she goes, "But I don't want to go to bed yet." She goes, No, you need to go to bed. And so she climbs up the stairs at the end of the bed and she goes, "What are you doing here, Mommy?" And I said, "Well, you said you told Daddy you weren't going to let me tuck you and you were going to tell me to go away. So I thought maybe if I was in your bed that you wouldn't do that." And she just giggled and laid down beside me. And then she said, "You really hurt my feelings when you told me to go to bed, Mommy." And so I said, "I'm sorry, baby, that I hurt your feelings. Will you please forgive me?" And she said, "Uh-huh." And then she told me all the things that were going wrong and how this person had done something. And she didn't like the restaurant we went to tonight. And I mean, she just went through all the things, right? I mean, she was having a rough evening. Things were not going the way she wanted them to. And I just was real like, I just need you kids to go to bed, right? And so what I thought was just a very matter of fact, "Here's your vitamins, go to bed," to her came across as just this really, like I hurt her feelings and I didn't mean to. And it doesn't matter that I meant to or not. It hurt her feelings. So I apologized to her. And so then she got, we snuggled for a few minutes in her bed. And then she proceeded to tell me all the ways you can actually get off the top bunk, which I was a little surprised by. I thought you just went on the ladder, but no, you can actually swing from the swing that's really close. You can hold on to that swing and swing down and land on the beanbag. And
so we have one of those like lycra swings that kind of hug you in the girls' room, hanging from the ceiling. So that's
the swing, and it's really close to the bed. So apparently that's what she likes to do is.
So in other words, after making the repair, you learned a whole lot of things you probably didn't want to know.
That's right. I was like, that sounds like I might actually fly into the wall if I tried that.
It was a better world when you didn't know what was going on upstairs.
Right. But what was really cute though was when I said to her, I said, "We're getting ready to record a podcast." And I said, what should I tell moms and dads? Because clearly I wasn't doing it the right way. What should I tell them? And she said to me, "Well, you should tell them that they should sing silly songs and that they should play games and they should," what else did she say? She said that they should say sorry, and she said all these little things. And I said, "You're so wise, those are really good things." And she goes, "You know the good things to say, Mommy." I was like, I don't know. I didn't feel like I really knew them tonight. I was not doing very well. So, but she really, that was all it took with her was just a little bit of nurture, something unexpected, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that in and of itself is unexpected. And when I went back in, I'd come downstairs for something and she wanted me to tuck her in now, right? She wasn't going to tell me to go away this time. So I went to tuck her in and she said to me, "Mommy, I'm sorry for being ugly to you downstairs. Will you forgive me?" I said, "Absolutely," because that's the thing that we've noticed with our kids as we have had those ruptures and repairs. I don't have to ask them to apologize for their actions anymore. Most of my kids just come to me and apologize now because over time they have seen us do that enough times. I mean, if you make enough mistakes and your kids watch you, then they will learn eventually. And it's been sweet to see that process because when our oldest two, when they were little, it was like, say sorry to your brother, say sorry to your sister, and that was constantly. I was just that, and then we kind of learned this concept of just modeling that for our kids. And it seems like a no-brainer, but if you're not thinking about it, and so we started. What does that look like to just model these behaviors and see our kids begin to emulate them? Yeah, there's some direct teaching that happens on how we do that, but for the most part, just that modeling has been so good.
Yeah. So what was really, really great in the midst of all of that is Brooklyn noticed that Libby was crying in our room, and she came in and she sat on the bed next to her and she said, "What's wrong?" And Libby started telling her, and then she said this, and I came downstairs and I told Kayla, I said, my heart is about to explode. I'm so proud right now. Little Brooklyn had just turned 11 less than a week ago, but has only lived in a connected parenting universe, said to her 6-year-old sister, she goes, well, Libby, the way you've been acting tonight, some people probably think you're just being annoying, but what they don't recognize is that you're struggling. And I was like, oh my gosh.
They are listening.
They are listening. I love it. I love it. Hey, so we're Facebooking live tonight. And so people have been commenting. And so one, you did your Scotch. So Jessica Whitaker wants to know if you're on Burgundy. But my favorite, here's the
Be quiet.
is Becca Whitson, her and her husband, Matt, who are the founders of the Arkansas Family Alliance, our friends, the Whitsons. Becca says the Whitsons would like you to work supercalifragilisticexpialidocious into the podcast. And so I think I just did.
I think you just
You
did.
did.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Well done.
Thank you. Which reminds me of a story last
Oh, he's
year.
going to sing now.
Well, I'll stop so everyone can enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm done.
Hey, we've known Chris for a long time. We learned tonight that he does a great Mickey Mouse impersonation. So
No idea.
I had no idea. The kids are like, Mr. Chris, can you have Mickey Mouse tell us to go to bed?
Go to bed, boys and girls. Go to bed.
So this the working words in. So we did a dad's retreat called Dad Camp in September last year for the first time. We're going to do it again this year. We're meeting about it next week, and then we got the location booked and stuff. And so it was me and Andrew Holland and Bruce Kendrick were doing the teaching. Andrew and Bruce, longtime friends and co-laborers with us. And so after everybody went to bed at the end of the first night we were there, so none of us had any teaching, we come up with this idea that we're going to make a list of words that we have to work in. So we spent the next, we went to bed at 2:00 in the morning.
That was my idea, actually.
This dumb list. And so Chris is writing them down, and he stuck them onto the podium, and he was scoring us. Like Bruce worked Hippodrome in, which is an ancient chariot racing stadium, and is still the name of a horse racing track in France.
And he worked it into his talk?
Yeah, because he showed their engagement picture. It was his wife Denise on a horse, and him standing next to it. He said, the reason we ended up doing the picture of Denise on a horse is because she loved going to the Hippodrome.
That's hilarious.
It was the true master of it, though, because I thought I did well, but I laid my sword at Andrew Holland's feet, man. That boy's a genius for working random words in. So,
oh my goodness.
So shout out to Becca and Matt Woodson and supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Now, anybody who would like for us to work any other words in,
oh dear,
please go for it.
Just start putting them in the comments.
Yeah, so Kayla wants to do we should probably plan this a little bit better and give people a heads up, but Facebook Live an episode and have people put questions.
And that's the episode as we answer the questions.
We're taking listener questions.
So live Q&A.
So good on you, KK North, for thinking about that. But back to Rupture and Repair.
Oh yes, Rupture and Repair.
I think that the rupturing's easy for us. Can I try that again, y'all?
You think it's easy?
I know that rupturing is easy for us.
Well, I mean, it's part of. I mean, it's just life, right? We make mistakes. We do things we shouldn't. We say things we shouldn't. We yell. We scream. I don't know. We make mistakes all the time, right?
Well, it's the whole knowledge versus emotion, right?
Right.
Reason versus emotion. I intellectually know I should not be reacting to my child this way.
Right. But in that moment.
In the moment when you're caught up in the second by second emotion of it, it's so easy to forget.
Well, or when we, all the same reasons that our kids struggle, we struggle too, right? We haven't been well hydrated. Because we've been drinking sodas all day instead of water that we should be drinking.
You were drinking sodas all day?
I wasn't drinking sodas today. I wish I had been. I really wanted a Coke today, but I didn't have one. No, but we're drinking sodas instead of water, or we are staying up late because we're binge watching a show, or
recording podcasts,
or sometimes we do those things that we know are going to make us tired and cranky, and we do them, and then it ends up being our kids that pay for it, right? Because or our spouse. or the
Thank
person
you
at
for
the
not leaving me.
or
out.
the person at the grocery store. I mean, we get short with people because we're tired and we're hungry and we're thirsty and all of those things, same reasons as our kids. But we just have to, if we can recognize that. I mean, obviously we want to not do that as much. We want to be more aware so that we can have less ruptures. But if we have those ruptures, when we have those ruptures, if we can repair them, it's just so much better for our kids, because then they see it's okay to make a mistake. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Any of your kids like perfectionist kind of? Yeah. I mean, we've got some of those that
I don't know where you got it from.
Well, and we have some that it cracks me up because I'm like, you're a perfectionist, yet you're a slob.
Yeah.
Right? But when it comes to certain things, they are like, they can't get it wrong, or they are so hard on themselves, right? They cannot make a mistake. Of one who, when he's doing his math, will literally like slam the computer shut and like break pencils in half and throw stuff across the room and just be like, but he's not mad at the math. He's mad at himself.
Yeah.
Because he did it wrong, right? He can't get things wrong. And so when he sees us say, you know what, I shouldn't have yelled at you. That was not okay. Or, you know what, I handled that wrong. And we apologize, or we go back and we say, can I try that again? He sees that it's okay to get things wrong.
Yeah.
And that you can go back and make it right. Now, obviously, the math, it's not a need to apologize kind of thing. But for him, that's where he really struggles.
Yeah, I think that, having her apologize to you was really, really a great indicator of how kids will catch behavior, right? So you have to do the thing you want to see, right? I mean, you can't demand that the kids apologize, but you yourself never apologize to the kids, right? And so they learn that from being apologized to, and most of us were raised in the children are to be seen and not heard.
Right.
Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
If I was in front of a group of people our age-ish, I would start these things, and the group would just yell the completion of the sentence back to me.
Right.
And so certainly we were not raised by people who apologized to us. And so I remember when we decided that we were going to make a real effort, if we had ruptured the relationship, to repair it, to apologize and to seek forgiveness, that it was really, really hard to tell a 4-year-old you were sorry for yelling at him, because I didn't want to.
Well, and it has to be really intentional, right? I mean, we had to have a conversation about how we were going to stop just demanding an apology, right? Because that was the norm. When we first started parenting, at least that was what everybody did, was tell her you're sorry when they took something at the playground from somebody else. Go tell your friend you're sorry, you know? And so, we lost a light. But we would say, instead we would say, that's not okay. Can we make it right? And so that was, we changed our language to, we're not demanding apologies, but instead we are saying, we're going to repair, because repairing something is so much better than demanding words that have no meaning, right? A kid just says, I'm sorry. Or you say, oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that.
Right.
And
it's know that there's no apology there. There's no sincerity.
There's no sincerity. And all we're teaching kids to do is apologize without sincerity and to say things they don't mean.
One of the things I've started doing with our boys is that when we're trying, when we're having the discussion one-on-one after the incident's over and he's calmed down, is, do you think you need to go apologize? I asked the question, do you think you need to go apologize to your brother? Of course, it's always yes, right? They know that they need to apologize. Yeah. But what I've started to tell them is, you don't have to go apologize right now, because I don't want you apologizing just to say the words.
Right.
And sometimes they won't remember to go do it. Yeah. But other times, after a few minutes, they'll go apologize. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, they're making loud ruckus noises again, playing with each other. So
Well, I think what you just said is really, really important to highlight, because we don't want the repair to be transactional.
Right.
It has to be meaningful. And so we've told our kids the exact same thing, that if somebody comes to apologize to you and you're not at a place where you can receive that, you can tell them you need a minute or two, or you need a little bit of time. And also, if they seek your forgiveness, then you can, and you say, I need a minute or whatever, right, to grant that. Then you're entitled to your feelings,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
You don't just get to squash your feelings because somebody said, I'm sorry, because one of our kids who we really have to work with is the moment something happens, you go, I'm sorry.
Right. I was just thinking
Like,
about that. It
are
was like
you-
the
I
child
can tell.
is.
One of those too.
I could tell when you laughed that you were thinking about
Yes,
it.
that's we got. He'll be like, it just hurt somebody else, right? And it doesn't happen. Admittedly, it doesn't happen as much as it used to, but it was like it used to be. Like you
By
just
admittedly, you mean thankfully.
thankfully, yeah, thankfully it doesn't happen as much. But it used to be. This one was really struggled with. Reactions in the moment were, hit my siblings, right? If I get mad, I'm going to hit. And then that person's crying. And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then the person's crying and they're not stopping. And then the person that did the hitting is like, they won't accept my apology. And then it all becomes about that person. We're like, no. In that moment when you've hurt somebody and you are, because what he was feeling was remorse in that moment. He was feeling a little bit of remorse. And so in that moment we say, let's make it right. Can you go and get an ice pack? Can you go get a Band-Aid? Can you go find mom and say, Mom, come help. I accidentally or on purpose, whatever the case may be.
It's always accidentally,
Right?
Mom. Always.
Right. We had a
I
phrase
didn't
when
mean to pick up that thing and hit them with it.
Right. We had a phrase. I have a good friend of mine that we were kind of raised almost like sisters. Like we grew up together and she spent a lot of weekends at our house and we fought like sisters all the time. And her phrase was accidentally on purpose. And so we would both use that accidentally on
my
purpose.
Gosh. We do not have time to unpack fought like sisters. Because I have two brothers and grew up with two brothers. My mom was like child number 9 or 10 of 12 on a farm. And so not the most delicate person in the world, right? And so growing up in that household, and then all of a sudden I've got 4 daughters. Oh my gosh, nothing prepared me for a fight like sisters.
Yeah, because sisters
Wow.
can get mean and catty, and you don't have that at your house.
And it's long lasting. It drags on for days, months
Yeah.
later you're reminded of it.
Well, it's like the episode of Seinfeld with the wedgies.
Oh dear, I didn't see that.
And Elaine didn't know what wedgies were, and so Jerry and George had to explain it to her. And she goes, "This is what boys did in school." They're like, "Yeah, you got ticked off another guy. You give him a wedgie. Why? What did girls do? Oh, we just teased someone until she developed an eating disorder." Wow.
Seriously.
I'm like, yep, that's the difference between guys and girls.
It
Yep,
is.
right there.
And on that note,
It's why the phrase "mean girls" is around, right?
Right.
Because girls can get really catty and mean with each other, and I don't want that to happen with my girls.
having daughters has been an education for me.
Yeah, it's definitely. But I think if we practice that rupture, and you don't have to practice the rupture comes naturally.
Yeah.
But if you practice the repair and make it really intentional and kind of come up with a game plan ahead of time of how are we going to handle this when we do something towards our kids that we shouldn't? How are we going to handle it? I mean, obviously, sometimes we need a minute to walk away and realize, okay, that wasn't the way I should have done that. And we come back and repairing as soon as we can in that moment, going back and apologizing. But we don't want it to be that apology that doesn't have any words behind it, just a rote apology. Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, it means we weren't actually sorry, right?
Yeah.
So if every day, 10 times a day, we're yelling at our kids and saying, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, then maybe we've gotten into a habit of that, right? But if we can say, okay, here's where I'm struggling, kind of like we're a detective with our kids, right? Okay, I'm struggling with this particular thing. Why am I struggling with that? Am I not getting enough sleep? Am I waiting too long to eat? Am I not drinking enough water? Am I just tired of these other behaviors that are happening and I need a break or whatever, right? I mean, we can be the detective of our own behavior and why we're having to repair so much. But I think having a game plan and going into it and saying, this is how we're going to handle the situation. This is what we're going to do. Especially if you're married as a couple, to
be willing to
be
do
together
it.
and be willing to do it.
Hey, that's a great thing you point out. Have your children see you apologize to your spouse.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's great for them to watch that as well. So if you're not apologizing to your spouse,
Yeah, for sure.
Christopher, Kayla. You all
Hey,
need to
I
start.
apologize to my spouse.
That's true. You have gotten
Interesting how
much
he
Way
better
better.
at that.
excluded
Yes.
himself.
He did exclude
from-
himself.
Oh my gosh, I'm
he's
an
an-
over apologizer.
He's an over apologizer. He really
Thank
is. He's very good at apologizing. That's not something he needs practice at. He actually, there's times where I'm like, you didn't have to apologize for that. Like he just
I'm like, shut up, quit being mean to me.
he
Let me
wants to
apologize.
make sure we're okay. So
Yeah,
but it's good. It is good because the kids sometimes, if we have an argument or if we, voices get raised or whatever, and then some of our kids are anxious and they're like, "Are you okay? Is everything going to be okay?" And we're like, "We're okay."
Yeah.
But then they have to also see us apologize and make things right if we have said stuff we shouldn't have or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt. All right.
So yeah,
What do you think?
I think that's a good place to wrap up.
okay.
I would also like to commend the three of us on being mistake-free, so Dallas has no edits.
That's
Let's hope.
awesome.
Might be the first time.
Maybe.
Yeah. Are we going to edit this part out, or are we just going to keep it?
I
in
think
there?
we're going to just keep this part
in
in.
here, so
Okay.
people will know we usually mess up.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
is us admitting our mistakes.
But do we need to repair?
We don't need to repair
I don't
because
think we need to repair.
we didn't make mistakes
Oh,
this
there you
time.
go. Okay.
So
Yeah.
we don't have to apologize
Poor-
to Dallas for the edits.
Yeah, poor Dallas has to fix our mistakes. We rupture, Dallas repairs.
Dallas repairs.
I'm putting
He
that on
re-
a T-shirt. We rupture, Dallas repairs.
He repairs our mistakes. That's right.
All right.
So if you have any questions from tonight's episode or any questions in general you might want us to talk about, feel free to shoot us an email at info@onebighappyhome.com. If you can be really concise and squeeze it into 280 characters, see, there we go.
No,
There you go.
just keep fighting through.
You can tweet it to us at @onebighappyhome. We have yet to receive questions via the Twitter.
Yeah,
So
my heart's broken.
I know. We get them all the time on Facebook. We've gotten some via email, but no one has tweeted a question to us yet. So help us out. Speaking of Facebook, we have a Facebook group just for our podcast listeners. Just search for the Empowered Parent Podcast Community, and it should be the first result, and you can ask to join. You can subscribe to our podcast in iTunes, on the Google Play Store, and on Spotify. Just search for the Empowered Parent Podcast. If you've enjoyed and gotten value from our show, we would appreciate a review in any of these locations. The Empowered Parent Podcast is committed to helping parents of foster and adopted kids through connecting, correcting, and empowering principles. Thanks for listening.